Donald Trump criticized many people surrounding him during his interview with the New York Times, and he even had some comments in regard to Mueller and Mueller's investigation into possible collusion with Russia. Now, I want you guys to hear what he had to say about Mueller, and then I'm gonna give you some additional details on this ongoing investigation. Take a look.
Mueller was looking at your finances, your family's finances, unrelated to Russia. Is that a red line?
Would that be a breach of what his actual?
I would say yes. Yeah, I would say yes. By the way, I would say I mean, it's possible that it's a condo or something. So I sell a lot of condo units, and somebody from Russia buys a condo. Who knows? I don't make money from Russia. In fact, I put out a letter saying that I don't make from one of the most highly respected law firms and accounting firms.
He put out a letter saying he doesn't take money from Russia. I mean, it must be true. I mean, if you put out a letter saying that you're not doing something, it must be true. Must be true. So he said that Mueller looking into his family's business dealings and business transactions would be a red line. Well, Mueller has decided to cross that red line, and I love it because this is something that has bothered me not only in regard to what's going on with Russia, but just the number of conflicts of interest that take place or exist within this administration have concerned me, and it seemed as though no one was paying attention, no one cared, and the thought of someone using public office to line their pockets and funnel money into their businesses. Look, we all know that there's severe corruption going on, but he takes it to another level. It's incredible because the corruption that we currently have in this country that has been legalized isn't good enough for him. He needs to take it further. So I love that this investigation is broadening in scope. And so a single anonymous source familiar with this probe told Bloomberg that federal investigators are now interested in financial dealings involving Trump, his son-in-law, and White House advisor Jared Kushner, Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, and his former campaign chairman Paul Manafort. And so they are specifically looking at a number of things, actually. Russian purchases of apartments in Trump buildings. That's the reason why Trump decided to mention the fact that, maybe possibly I sold some condos to Russians. Who knows? I sell a lot of condos. Trump's involvement in a controversial SoHo development with Russian associates, 2013 Miss Universe pageant in Moscow, Trump's sale of a Florida mansion to a Russian oligarch in 2008. So these are all issues that Mueller is now looking into, and he does not seem deterred by Donald Trump's statements to the New York Times.
This is an administration awash in conflict, right? You can stay at the Trump Hotel a stone's throw from the White House and be helping the Trump organization in that way. And that's not just a theory. That's what's happened since he took office. In fact, most foreign dignitaries and their attachés and entourages, they stay in that Trump hotel. Why? Because why stay at the Mandarin Oriental when you can stay at the Trump Hotel and say, yeah, we had a great stay at your hotel last night? I mean, that's happening, and it's not happening in small numbers. It's been a boon to that hotel. But his conflicts as far as the real estate empire are concerned are really remarkable, because that's where you can launder money, and it's a good old-fashioned way to launder money, where a lot of money is paid in excess of whatever the appraised value of a property might be.
Yes.
And that's a way now that you're giving somebody money and also laundering money. I think.
Oh, don't even get me started on that, Mark. Don't even get me started on that. Because think about it, okay? I've been following, foreign investments into US properties because of how insane the housing market is, right? And it drives me nuts because they do it to launder money. And so if they're spending over market value for properties, what do you think that happens to the rest of the market? The rest of the market is artificially inflated, right? And so people, hardworking Americans, America first, because that's what he really cares about, are unable to afford homes in places where homes used to be pretty affordable. That's what's happening right now. And it's because of his cronies, it's because of Jared Kushner and his family traveling to China and encouraging people to invest $250,000 or more in their properties so they can get the golden visa and their ticket to America. Like, that's the stuff that should infuriate his base.
The only thing that is good about what's happening is that it's also ham-fisted. It's all clunky. It's all noticeable. I mean, there's no elegance to the Trump con. And by the way, there was no elegance, though, to the Trump con to become president of the United States. And that's one of the reasons I didn't think it would ever happen. It just seems so clunky. But in the investigation of a conflict of interest, there's that same clunkiness. And I think ultimately there's going to be a lot revealed here. I think Jared Kushner and his associates will maybe the first to be exposed.
Possibly. But their clunkiness, I think, is a symptom of being brought up in a country where if you have certain resources, you're above the law, right? You don't have to answer to anyone. You don't face the same consequences that most average Americans have to face. And so, yeah, why wouldn't they be transparent and incredibly obvious about their shady dealings if all they've ever known is being above the law?
Yeah, that's a great point. They really have never had to answer to the law because of that strata of society. But also, the real estate world is filled with this kind of thing. There are payoffs and all kinds of deals in the real estate world. As you can imagine, a real estate deal of hundreds of millions of dollars has this to the nth degree. So they're really used to this kind of thing. And then when something's found, as Anna says, they just had like, oh, yeah, I did meet with that Russian guy the one time. Yeah, the 2 times there was a Russian guy and there was one other guy there. I mean, and then there are 3 other guys there. But I mean, and it continues. But they just are used to answering after the fact. I think they bring a lot of that real estate world where anything goes. I think they bring a lot of that to the presidency.
So I really want to comment, I guess, compare and contrast 2 different components of the Russian story, right? Because I think a lot of people are frustrated that oftentimes when you hear from Democrats, establishment Democrats, they're hyper-focused and hyper-obsessed with the DNC emails, right? And so when we talk about collusion, the first thing that some establishment Democrats go to is, oh yeah, the DNC emails. And look, that's bad, okay? I agree that's bad. But for me, what's much more concerning are the business dealings, right? That's where I want the focus to be. That's where I want, the FBI's resources to go, and I want to find out if there were, pay-to-play situations going on, if there were some financial dealings happening, in order to persuade Trump to do certain things, or if Trump is helping foreigners launder money in his properties. Like, that's unacceptable. Anyone else who does that would face consequences. So for me, that's the real issue. Again, the DNC stuff, the emails, yeah, whatever. It's bad.
Yeah,
but
they almost look quaint by comparison.
This is much worse. And so if Democrats genuinely care about messaging, and it seems like they don't, they seem more obsessed with the fact that, Trump won and Hillary lost. But if they genuinely care about justice and making sure that you hold Trump's feet to the fire, this is where your messaging should be. This is where you should be focusing and ensuring that some form of justice gets carried out.
Yeah, no, I think the conflict of interest thing also is a different way to message and would be a smart way to message, because the Russia thing, people are burning out on some level. They're not really focusing and distinguishing what part of the Russia investigation is what. And I also think that the right-wing media, and they do a good job in this country, that's all talk radio and that's Fox News Channel and all the rest, they do a good job of ignoring the Russia thing. They put it all in the same category, so that changes in the Russia story are not really represented to an entire audience. Now, that audience might be lost anyway, they might not, but I think it's a clever idea to change the messaging. So we're talking about conflict of interest. We're talking
about how this screws Americans over, right? Instead of focusing on how it screwed the Democrats over. Because let me tell you something, you're not gonna convince members of his base to switch over and support Democrats by saying, oh, we didn't like what happened with Russia because of what happened to the poor Democrats. They don't care. But what they do care about is how this impacts their day-to-day lives. How it is that someone that they elected actually isn't interested in representing them, but is interested in, using his, business ventures or whatever to profit as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, and the other thing that the Democrats could do is get off of their jihad about getting those voters over. You probably aren't going to get a lot of them.
Yeah.
And get back to representing the people. I mean, you
Yes.
can really be a party of the people right now. There's an opportunity here, a political opportunity that can be exploited. But I think Democrats are still slow to that party as well.
Help us build independent media together. TYTnetwork.com/join.